noticed a shift in your late 20s where the conventional weekend parties, the excessive drinking, and the meetups with pleasant enough conversation, but at the end of the day, still surface level interactions over very expensive brunches are no longer fitting. I know that within the Australian culture, drinking is a big part of that. And I think what we've really seen is a trend toward people preferring to find other ways of connecting and spending their free time and reimagining what fun actually looks like. People who feel a sense of community belongingness are 2.6 times more likely to be in good, excellent health compared to those who feel a lesser sense of belonging and community connectedness. The focus on building real connections over curated ones online raises an interesting conversation and discussion about knowing the difference between an online friendship and an offline one. Now, let me just go back a little bit. When I was thinking about what I wanted to discuss in this video, I think appearances versus reality is a really key theme that came to mind. It looks like people are having fun. It looks like people are getting along. It looks like people are having really interesting conversations and understanding each other on deeper levels. But when we actually go behind the scenes and we peel back the veil, people are feeling like they don't have real friendships. They don't feel like they have people who they can go to and open up to when things are going badly. And to quote Black Sharif, there is a song that he has, Toxic Love City, and it says, "Are you gonna be here? Are you only gonna be here for the higher days? When the sweet times are over, are you gonna stay?" So that's why I wanted to start this conversation framed around appearances versus reality, specifically when it comes to our friendships and the connections that we have. I've had attempts at making friends online, but it really can't replace spending time with somebody in person. And I've also seen with myself how these online conversations and phone calls can create an artificial closeness. Just like liking photos online from significant moments in other people's lives can't substitute for being present in those actual moments. You feel some level of closeness, but essentially you remain an outsider without real time connections. And when I look at my earlier 20s, I think there was a lot of liking key significant moments, but actually realizing that I wasn't there in the room and who were the people close to me that I was walking through life with across different chapters. Following from this, I think excessive drinking can be somewhat linked to excessive social media use, or not linked, but likened to excessive social media use, because that can also take on an addictive form and provide this thrill that actually it takes a lot more from you than what it's giving. I didn't even know about this term sober curious, which actually is an approach where people choose when and if to drink instead of doing so due to pressure or habit. The term was coined by Ruby Warrington, who wrote a book by the same title. Interestingly, Eventbrite has seen a 92% growth in sober curious gatherings, suggesting people are seeking out more mindful experiences. There's also the conversation around the loneliness epidemic. So, despite seeing online that everyone seems to be more connected than ever, people are also feeling more lonely. And so, I think we can't confuse what we see with quality and depth. And another interesting statistic I came across was that before the pandemic, 76% of individuals struggled to connect with colleagues, and 58% perceived their workplace relationships as superficial. That's more than half. And I think I do have a video that sort of speaks to the idea of our careers being a social construct, and everyone looks and sounds like they know what they're doing, but in reality that isn't really necessarily the case. And I think that this can also be applied to our social lives. There is this social construction around them. And so I think we can take power back and kind of think about, well, what fun do I kind of want to have? What kind of relationships do I want to be in? And this is where we bring in third and fourth spaces as expanding and opening worlds. We've mentioned third and fourth spaces. Let's start with third spaces, which is a concept that was named by Ray Oldenburg, a sociologist, in 1989. It describes places outside of home and the workplace where people can interact freely and casually with their communities. Examples would be libraries, cafes, that sort of thing. But then I learned that we're now, of course, like with the industrial revolutions, I think we're on like the fourth or fifth or wherever we are with that, maybe the fifth going on to the sixth. There's fourth spaces, which combine online and in person worlds. And so when I think about, for me, examples of fourth spaces during the pandemic time, where a lot of small businesses really became so vibrant and hubs of community. Now that we can interact more freely, there are now these online communities creating experiences offline. So, meetups around intentional activities or hobbies. Julia Hartz had an article called Fourth Spaces: The Future of Community Building and Its Impact on Small Businesses. Julia Hart is the co-founder and CEO of Eventbrite, which is a platform that you and I may have used that connects people with live experiences. Eventbrite did a recent cultural intelligence study which found that Gen Z and millennials are pioneering what we call fourth spaces. And this is the definition that Julia Hartz gave: dynamic gathering places where digital connections transform into real world communities driven by shared passions and creating authentic in person experiences. And so when I read this, I was really thinking about how for me, fourth spaces are definitely part of the current moment. And I think that they will be a mainstay for quite a while. And this then got me thinking about three examples that I wanted to share, beginning with Club Sup. I don't even know exactly how I found out about Club Sup, but this is cool because it's an Australian founder example. So the founder, Sophie, did a interview that I read on Substack. And basically, Club Sup is described as a modern supper club. The origin story is so beautiful, and I will share an excerpt from the interview. Club Sup started because, in a nutshell, this is the founder speaking, by the way, I felt like I fell through the cracks in my early 20s in finding a good group of friends, and then I went through a massive breakup alone without a support system. It was so tough and a lot. Fast forward a few life changes and the pandemic. I met some of my greatest friends that gave me so much love and confidence that I wanted to do that for everyone else. So, what is Club Sup? More on that. So, the origin story blossomed into something more, a way of reimagining how adults meet, share stories, and build lasting friendships offline. Club Sup hosts intimate communal dining events and social experiences across Australia and now London. And this is in their words, from our signature family style suppers to culture led gatherings like Book Swap, Lunch Club, and 40 Plus Lunch Club. Every event is designed to feel effortless, thoughtful, and rooted in shared curiosity. I love also the incorporation that Club Sup has made with brands, for example, The Ordinary. And I think that this is the future as well of how brands are more seamlessly ingraining themselves in people's daily lives and routines and culture and communities. And one of the channels I really enjoy here on YouTube is a channel, Abiola's channel. She is really a cultural leader, an expert on culture and trends and fashion and marketing and creating, not even creating, but curating experiences. And she has a podcast. I have notes, and she's really, really, really on par with what she's noticing about brands and the future of what that looks like. So I would encourage you to, if you're interested in that kind of thing. that's a vibe. Now we're going to look into the second example, which is the offline club. In an article, The Offline Club's Quest Against Digital Overload, the author Pontefract explores Amsterdam's The Offline Club, co-founded by the person that was interviewed in this write-up, who praised it as offering a unique environment where individuals can unplug from technology to foster genuine human connections. The founder and co founders of the Offline Club created this community through experiencing themselves the disruption that the digital world was causing to their real life and relationships. The founder practiced themselves several 4-day stints of going offline and experienced significant benefits in creativity and mental peace. We've seen the videos even now to this day online about taking a break from social media and going analog. There is something beautiful in Pontefract describing the offline club as creating a sanctuary from our digital onslaught. The offline club seeks to rekindle the core human need for direct, meaningful connection and introspection. And that word introspection, when I think of those much more loud weekends from times past, there was no space for introspection. And so I think we can get to a point where we see how continuing this pattern can stifle our growth. There is definitely a place for vibrancy and color and a degree of chaos. Do not get me wrong. But sitting in the presence of a friend and not having to say anything is really fertile ground for seeing people as they really are without all the posturing that happens at a surface level. The offline club has been a success, as Pontefract writes about, and some of the experiences it's offered to its community are games, reading, informal chats, and live music. I'm getting excited now, just remembering that I do have these other ways of connecting with people available, and not everything has to be, let's go out for an expensive brunch. Let's just go to, well, brunch, that's kind of the thing I feel like, or lunch. There's other ways to connect with people. And I think I had a third example, GGLU, which I didn't have any notes on, but I can kind of speak to this from a personal experience because Ghana, we know Ghana, if you know Ghana or you've seen the discourse online around Ghana in December in Ghana over the holiday period. People heading to Ghana for an intensive period of partying and going to all the latest nightclubs and events and basically going back to back having little sleep. And GGLU is a community, Ghana Girls link up, that my cousin actually shared with me because it's designed to kind of be a sisterhood where you can meet like-minded women who might be in similar fields to you, have similar ambitions to you. I feel like it attracts a very creative, entrepreneurial, boss kind of girl archetype, and the branding around it was really, really cool. And so the idea is you join this group chat during December and they organize events that may include some of those more party style events, but they also can host like brunches and panel events and maybe Pilates classes and paddle classes and craft making, baking, like other kinds of activities that give you an alternative. And the idea is they kind of organize that, facilitate the space, and bring these people together. And so that's an online space community, but it definitely has this real fourth space, like in person element. And that's something that's now being brought to the Ghana space. I didn't really participate that much in it myself, so I can't really speak too much of what those events are actually like, but I would be curious to be part of something like that in the future. And I think that personally, I'm just really inspired when I see people creating these fourth spaces and finding creative ways to bring their community together in real life. This is just a video I wanted to make about this topic, and I really hope that you enjoyed some of these examples, and maybe it causes you to also reflect on the level of fun that you feel that you're having, the level of connectedness that you feel to other people around you. And I really hope that we all have some good friends and good people in our lives that we can do some fun activities with. Not every day spend money. If you have any recommendations of ways that you like to spend quality time with the people you love that doesn't involve even even spending money, or it involves doing things that we have probably overlooked as things we could do with the people close to us, then leave a comment, let us know down below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Actually, before I close out, there was something that I did want to say. The concluding thought is kind of, I think we all are craving spaces that ground us and grow us rather than suppress and numb us, is what I wrote. And I think that getting into maturity is realizing that I don't want to be suppressed. I don't want to be numbed. I don't want to just be following the status quo. I want to thrive in my life. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.